everybody, how's it going? Stadman coming right back at you, and today I'm going to be talking to you about Cat's Eye. Yes, I got this one recently, as you may have seen in my mini haul, my spooky, scary mini haul. Spooky, scary mini haul. Okay, that was stupid. But regardless, yes, I got this, and I didn't know whether or not I was going to do a review of it at the time, but yeah, I went ahead and watched it, and here's my review. So the first thing I'm going to note about this movie is not nearly as scary as I was expecting. I don't know what I was expecting. I wasn't necessarily expecting a whole lot. I had been told that it wasn't necessarily very good. But then other people told me that I should watch it. And, well, I decided to watch it. It's not scary. It really isn't. I can see why it gets kind of billed as a kind of scary movie, but it feels more like kids' first anthology movie or kids' first horror movie even. This is something that's very, very, very light on the horror aspect, if you will. So, although there are some pretty disturbing things that happen in the movie, it's not really that kind of movie. As many have pointed out, this is more of a Twilight Zone kind of movie. If you remember the Twilight Zone movie, that one was pretty cool. I enjoyed that one quite a bit. But even though there are some elements of it that can be considered like horror, it wasn't necessarily a horror movie. And Twilight Zone itself was not necessarily a horror show. It just so happens that some of the stories can be quite horrific or, terrifying or disturbing, right? It all came from that sci-fi B movie era, so of course makes sense that it wouldn't necessarily be just a bunch of oddities and weird stuff. There would also be stuff that was a little bit creepier and more disturbing, right? And I feel like there is some of that in this movie as well, but it's a lot more of the creepy, kind of spooky, disturbing kind of stuff than it is the horrific kind of stuff. There's not a lot of blood and guts going on in this movie, but there are some pretty screwed up things that happen, some things that might make you tense if you watch it, and you have a certain phobia or something like that, then certain scenes might make you twinge, I guess you could say. But it's really not scary. Not at all. So the way that all the stories are connected is that this cat, as the name implies, Cat's Eye, this cat is going around, and everywhere he goes, he is seeing a little girl who's calling out to him for help. And at the same time, he's also running into people who are themselves encountering their own strange and terrible stories. So we get to hear these strange and terrible stories until the cat eventually meets the little girl, which, by the way, of course, little girl is played by Drew Barrymore. The key thing about that to point out, I think, is that Drew Barrymore plays a little girl in, I think, at least 2 of the other 3 stories. So she's not just one little girl. She plays all the little girls in this movie. All 3 are completely different characters. They're not the same character. They're completely different. I thought that was interesting. It was an interesting way of doing that. Because then the cat sees this little girl and thinks, oh, this must be the little girl. No, not that one. Oh, this must be the little girl. Nope, not that one. I guess that was what they were going for. I couldn't really tell, per se. But I have to say, I did like all the references in this movie. For one thing, the cat, at the beginning of the movie, gets chased by a dog. A dog that looks suspiciously like Cujo. And then as the cat is being chased by Cujo, they cross the street, and you see a car stop abruptly when they cross the street, and the bumper sticker on the car talks about Christine. Like, I think it said, my other car is Christine, or something like that. There are a bunch of little references like that just splattered throughout this entire film. And I love it. I think it's pretty awesome, and it doesn't get in the way of the actual story. You know what I mean? It's not something where the references are more important than the story itself. The story itself takes precedence, and it just so happens that every now and then throughout the story, sprinkled throughout, you see some references to other Stephen King stories. So, yes, very cool stuff, and absolutely loved it. One of the other things that I liked about this movie was that they have a song playing throughout it. Like, the same song ends up being important in, I believe, all three different stories. So, I love when they do stuff like that. It kind of reminded me of Final Destination. That was my favorite thing about the original Final Destination movie, was that they had that song as a connection as well. Just a little extra something to give you a connection, to give you something that you can look out for, to give you a hint that it's all connected or whatever. So each time I heard the song, I was just like, "Oh, it's the song! It's the song! I love that song!" And also, I love that they're using it for this narrative purpose, right? So yeah, I really enjoyed that aspect of it. There are a lot of things I loved about this movie, and I felt like were pretty damn good and underappreciated, perhaps. But as a horror movie it is not. It is not a horror movie. It's not even very scary, but it's fun. I enjoy it. If I'm looking for something more sci-fi or disturbing, more on the side of like Amazing Stories or The Twilight Zone, than I am for something like Tales from the Crypt or whatever, then maybe I'll watch this. But I was, at the time I watched this, I was kind of hoping it would be more disturbing, more horrific, and it wasn't. It wasn't. So I can't necessarily blame it for not meeting my personal expectations, because quite frankly, it was a very good movie. They didn't necessarily do anything too terribly wrong in this film. It worked pretty damn well. It flowed pretty well. So I can't really complain. I think this is a very good movie that doesn't get enough appreciation, perhaps. So, yeah. Would recommend, just not necessarily as a horror movie. If you like anthology movies, if you like anthology stories, if you like Twilight Zone, if you like Amazing Stories, that kind of stuff, Erie, Indiana, you will enjoy Cat's Eye. You will probably love it. I can't say I loved it, but I enjoyed it. I felt like it was pretty good and deserves a lot more respect than it's given. So yeah, would recommend, especially for the price that it's going for. I think I got it for like $6, so not bad. I think it's definitely worth $6. Anyways, that will do it for me today. Thanks for watching, guys. Catch you later. Peace.